in this video, I wanted to explain some of the things I've learned in the last, I would say, um, I'm 27 now, and I started this journey when I was 22. So in the last 5 years, I'd say there's a very important lesson that I've learned, and obviously, uh, so yeah, it's a very important lesson I learned, and I think 22 years ago, I set out on a journey to basically become financially independent. And what I've learned a lot of things. But one thing that I've learned just recently that, it finally clicked and I'm making, big progress is that on your journey to financial independence, you're going to have a lot of people telling you false information, a lot of charlatans who are just trying to profit off of your desire to become financially independent. I'm sure you guys know, like, I'm sure you guys maybe kind of understand what I'm trying to get at is like you'll watch YouTube videos or something, or yeah, YouTube videos, and you'll hear someone talking about how, oh, 10 steps to get rich, or blah, blah, all these stupid things. And when you're young, I mean, you're naive and you fall for it. And, and even me, like, I've read so many books, I've read so many like, Think and Grow Rich and just those types of books. And to be honest with you, those books don't help you actually get rich. um, so yeah, that's something I've been learning, and yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys, and I wanted to tell you how. I mean, I'm not rich yet. I'm just kidding, but I'm not rich, and but I will say this: in the last few months, I've been accumulating wealth at a much rapid rate that I believe if I continue on this path, that one day I will, achieve my dream of being financially, free and independent, not having to be at the whims of my boss and etc. So what is that? What is this, amazing tool that I've learned that will help you get rich? Okay. And to put it simply, you have to be cheap. It's not Luke, it's not like it's super fancy. It's not, it's not lucrative, when you're becoming rich. So let me go ahead and explain some of the reasons as to for me why I've always wanted to become rich. So for me, some of the biggest things that I saw growing up, in a home that was, we lived below the, we were poor. I come from a poor family. We always would struggle to make ends meet. There wasn't a whole lot of food in our fridge. Sometimes we wouldn't have lights. You know, you know, we wouldn't have lights on. Some years for Christmas there weren't any presents under the Christmas tree. That's just the reality that I had to. That was just the reality of our situation. So yeah, so as I got older, I started meeting certain individuals, in our society, and something that always stuck, that always something that kind of always stuck with me is I would meet certain individuals who did have a lot of money, and my thought was always, oh, the rich are evil, the rich are bad people. But the very few rich individuals I've met in my life were actually the complete opposite. And maybe I think that's the role that it played in me, whether I know it consciously or subconsciously, that these rich individuals were super generous and they were nice people. Um, and yeah, and so I mean, I've always felt like I've always wanted to strive to be like them, and I've always felt like I could do better for others if I could be financially independent. Okay, so so that's kind of my reason on why I want to be financially independent. Um, so okay, so on this journey, right? I started on this journey and I thought, oh, let's start a business. Let's watch these YouTube videos of all these people who say this 10 steps to get rich, blah blah. And what I've learned is really they're just trying to sell you their products and make themselves rich, but they don't actually have the intention of helping you get rich. And that's what I've learned, and that's what That's it took me a long time to understand that. Now, the meat of this video is how did I come to that understanding? So I met I've met I've met two millionaires in my life, and then I'm close to another one who is on his way to becoming a millionaire. And but with both of them, so it's funny because I've been to both of these millionaires' houses, and what I've what I saw was something that changed my perspective on rich people. It slowly happened, right? But these two millionaires live in a very modest house. You would never expect these guys to be loaded with money. Um, so yeah, and then the third one, who is someone who's close to me, he's on his way to becoming a millionaire, and he also lives in a very modest house. But he's the guy's loaded with money. So I mean, that's something that I've been learning. Is like, there's really rich people. They're not gonna show you how much money they actually have or what their real worth is. They do it because they're smart enough to know that money is a very essential tool, and it's not something that should be, um, spent foolishly. Okay, so that leads me on. So that leads me on to my path. So, um, I met these individuals. Blah blah. They influenced me. But it wasn't until now, till me being 27, that I finally realized that in order to be rich, you have to live below your means. And I'm not talking about living just barely below your means. You have to live way below your means, which means that however much money you're earning at work, you have to be able to keep about 30% of that. Which kind of leads me to how it finally what brought me to this place. So there's this book I read called The Richest Man in Babylon, right? And in this book, it basically tells you that you should um, you should save 10% of what you earn and pay 20% off towards debt. At the end of that 1 year, that 10% that you've earned, you need to invest it into something that can eventually make you more money. If you keep doing this over a long span of time, you will become rich. That's what the book says. And this book right here, out of all the books I've read, Think and Grow Rich, all these stupid books that don't even help you, they're just a bunch of nonsense. This book right here has helped me more than all those other books. Um, this book right here, I live in Austin, Texas, which is a very expensive place. And if it weren't for this book right here, I don't think I would have made it out here. I don't think I would have learned how to budget my money and make it out here. So, I mean, if you really actually do want to, seek financial independence, I highly recommend this book. Don't spend your time on Think and Grow Rich. And let me see some other books. I have a few books that I've read that are absolutely useless. Um, that's one of them. I mean, the book is just completely useless. I mean, like you're not going to become rich by just thinking you're rich. That's nonsense. Okay, so that's one book. And the second book that I read that finally clicked is called The Millionaire Next Door. Um, so you know the Millionaire Next Door. What the Millionaire Next Door tries to tell you is like, hey, um, the millionaires don't actually live in giant houses, and at least not your typical millionaire. They live very modest lives. They actually save a lot of money they earn. You know, um, in this book, it talks about um, how one of the individuals who owns a big company was given a gift as a Rolls Royce, and he said that he didn't want it because it doesn't represent him, and it makes him look bad in front of his employees. And I totally agree because I mean, if he's a CEO and he's the leader of the company, people look to him like the leader, but yet the leader's acting very pompous. I mean, are they really going to follow him? Probably not. They follow him because he's humble enough to say, hey, I'm no better than anyone else. So, so yeah, I mean, and the reason why this book really hit home with me, I think, is because I actually have crossed paths with millionaires. And there's a lot of people out here who live in big houses, have fancy cars, and I think that if you want to achieve financial independence sometime in your life, you have to understand that those individuals who live in these giant houses and have all these fancy clothes, like a $200 Arc'teryx jacket, we'll talk about it some other time. They probably don't have, they probably really don't have a whole lot of money. I know that's crazy to believe, but you have to understand that a lot of people that live like that, they live like that because it's just a facade that they're trying to portray, you know, to society that, hey, look at me, I have money, I have this, I have that. But like I've said before, most of the really wealthy people I've met in my life are the complete opposite. And like I said, the reason this book, I feel like this book really hit home for me is because I've lived this. I've known people who are loaded with money and they don't really show it off. You would never notice. You would never be able to notice. So yeah. So in short summary is, you know, how do you actually become rich in this lifetime or in your life? It's not listening to all these big mouths entrepreneur guys on YouTube or reading these dumb Think and Grow Rich books that literally are. You're not going to become rich by thinking you're rich, or all these other stupid silly books like I haven't yeah, just silly books that just don't really help you to get rich. The real way you become rich is living below your means and saving your money. Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot that I could have added to that video, but let me just explain more. Because I feel like one thing I didn't do well is I didn't really explain the importance of staying out of debt. Um, so I've been battling staying out of debt for these last 5 years on my financial journey, and I think that at this point I realized it finally clicked. After listening to a whole lot of Dave Ramsey's, and it's funny because I didn't start actually. I've always known about Dave Ramsey, but it didn't really click to me until after I read The Millionaire Next Door, which is funny because like I've mentioned, I've lived this. I know rich individuals who don't. I've known these guys, and these guys have inspired me. But I think it's definitely something that it's just a learning process really, and everyone's gonna have different speeds to get to where they're trying to get to. But yeah, let me just explain a little more. So, um, you know, I had some credit card debt, the very late of last year, and it was a whole lot. It was more. It was like about $2,000. And I was listening to Dave Ramsey's strategy, the gazelle mode, where you just focus, focus, focus on paying off that debt. Don't focus on saving money. Don't focus. Just focus on paying off that debt. And lo and behold, I was able to pay off that debt in about a month and a half. I don't know how I did it. I just, obviously I know how I did it because I did it, but it's just insane how when you really focus on paying off your debt, you will get out of debt. So that's something else I wanted to kind of add to that video. Is that being staying out of debt is one of the most crucial factors that will play into whether you become financially independent or not. I know that some people like to pack on a lot of debt, which is cool. I'm not against packing on debt. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not like a diehard student of Dave Ramsey's, although I think his methodology, his philosophy is solid. And I think that if you're serious about becoming wealthy, listen to him, and everything that man says is comes from a place of wisdom, not foolishness. So yeah, that's something else I wanted to add to the video because I felt like I was doing the audience a disservice by doing that. So yeah, I listened to Dave Ramsey's. I cut off all my credit cards. I have zero credit cards. I don't plan on ever getting any more credit cards, and and yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at where I'm at right now in my financial journey. I'm living below my means. I'm saving. I'm accumulating wealth at a more rapid rate now because of that. No credit card debts. Not one. I don't want to give myself the opportunity to be tempted into buying something that's really expensive and that I really don't need. So, and that helps me out by not having credit cards. So yeah, that's something else that's really important that you guys need to know that I've learned. Um, you know, it's saving your money, getting out of debt. Not buying expensive things, expensive laptops, expensive phones, expensive clothes. Um, you know, that's the real way to get rich. And saving your money and then using that money, investing it in something that can make you more money in the long run. So yeah, that's what I've learned, and that's the my plan moving forward, and I'll continue making YouTube videos, and we'll see how that turns out. Yeah.